Nursing is one of the most respected professions, and that's because we take people through their most difficult times: childbirth, illness, death. So we're there, we're with the families 24/7 at the very intimate moments, very special moments in a family's life. Unfortunately, we're always there as well when they get bad news, and they lash out at the person not only delivering the message, but the one they feel most safe with.
I think the community at large is becoming more aware of the violence that we have encountered in our workplace. I don't think anybody really ever imagined that it was there. Who would ever harm a nurse?
I guess I've just come to accept that it's part of the job, because you're always going to be dealing with people, and people are never perfect. So, but I can imagine that it would add to your emotional stress that you already have attached to the job.
It's scary at times, you know. If someone is threatening you, it's very scary.
You have to be very vigilant in watching your environment, and out of the corner of your eye, you might see something be going to come down on your head. Or you might have a client that's very agitated, and you have to check when they're coming in for things like big machetes or firearms.
There's a lot of family involvement now, and a lot of times they get upset, violent, you know, verbally abusive. So it's that I find hard to deal with, very hard to deal with.
When you have to take time out of your day to micromanage difficult situations with family members, then it detracts from the care that you could provide to your other residents.
The most common forms of workplace violence that nurses unfortunately are experiencing is verbal abuse. For whatever reasons, patients and their families feel it's okay to yell at a nurse if they get bad news, if they have to wait longer than they expect to wait. They believe it's the nurse's problem, and oftentimes are very rude and yell and scream. So that's the most common. However, unfortunately, often this escalates. I've had nurses that have been spit at. They've been punched, kicked, bruised. I have a nurse recently with a concussion. I have another with a black eye. So there's all kinds of unacceptable behaviors. And it's not just residents and patients, it's their families. It's the general public. It's a huge problem, and it seems to be getting worse.
You have clients who just become totally inappropriate and lose control of their actions and things that they say, and can terrify both other patients and the staff. And you need to protect yourself, but you also have to protect other patients that are in the environment.
A gentleman was up, his bed alarm was going, and I walked into his room, which was dark, and he's blind, and he was stumbling around his room, swinging wildly, and he hit me on the back and the shoulder and injured my back and shoulder. So he was quite violent.
There was a gentleman who had some clinical signs that pointed that he could be approaching having a stroke, so he was being monitored very closely. And I was assigned to him, and I went to take his blood pressure and was talking to him, and out of nowhere he put both his hands down my scrub top and basically squeezed my chest. I was a first-year student. I was 20 years old. I got spoken to for raising my voice to him. This is one of the reasons I believe in all my heart and soul after 14 years of doing this, that incidents such as these, be it with a colleague, a patient, a family member, why they're not reported, why many nurses just leave it alone. And the reason is fear.
It's always the nurse's fault. They did something, they provoked them, they walked in the room the wrong way, they didn't bring their tray in properly, they didn't bring their pain medication when they should. All of those reasons are shaming the nurse. It shouldn't matter whether or not their pain medication is 15 minutes late. That shouldn't matter. That's not an excuse to yell, hit, slap. And far too often, we all look at that and say, I wonder what she did to make him hit her. That has to stop.
At night, mainly is the concern for many nurses, because it's only two, usually there's also male nurses, but mainly female nurses on. If we had security in our hospital, it would make us feel more safe. It would probably lower anxiety, because we never know who's gonna be at the door.
This particular family was very taken aback by the conversation, but in a way that they absolutely became verbally abusive to me immediately. I'm in their home, I'm on their territory, I'm not in a hospital, I'm not with people who can help me, I'm alone. But yet it just went on, and how could you upset father like that, and you're such an insensitive bitch, you're blah blah blah, you're blah blah blah. It just went on and on and on, and everything they said just felt like a kick in the chest. You get back in your car and you cry and you ask yourself, why am I doing this? You know, and again, nursing often attracts people who have a big heart. They're caring, they're compassionate, but part of being those things means you have a little bit of your heart on your sleeve yourself, so the potential to be deeply hurt by people is there.
Under the Occupational Health and Safety Act of this province and every other, every single worker has the right to refuse unsafe work. If a nurse feels that she's entering an unsafe situation because of violence or any other, she can refuse to care for that patient. And she reports it, and then it's her employer's problem to deal with it.
If we had another outlet for each, instead of each other, it would be wonderful to be able to go and talk about things in a confidential way, just to vent, just to, let somebody know what's going on.
I don't think it's any one particular group's responsibility to help deal with it, whether it be the union or the professional association or the employer. But I think that we need to work together. I think that is the key, is to all be on the same path and working towards the same goal, is a violence-free workplace.
I think we need to hear that it is not okay to be intimidated by family members. It is not okay to be hit by a patient. And it's always nice to have a manager to come and to listen what I have to say and be honestly interested and supportive.
Be kind to each other. Support each other. There was a day that you didn't know what you know today. Don't be so quick to judge. And don't be so quick to run and talk to your other colleagues that nurse so-and-so is not meeting the mark or not doing so great. Support that person. We are one powerful group of people if we can stick together. But we need to be a cohesive group to do that.
I have a right to go to work and come home to my family safely. I have a right to do that. And I believe nurses 35 years ago felt it was part of the job. Heck, I thought it was part of the job. I've been hit, slapped. I never reported any of it. So hopefully our newer, younger nurses and the work that we're doing within the nurses union is making it okay for nurses to say it's not okay.